Welcome to the Effects Loop. I'm Diaz.
I'm Chris.
I'm Scott.
And we are keeping you in the loop of the guitar community. This episode is brought to you by Lambertone Pickups. Go check them out at lambertone.com. They've got the Cremas, and I'm not even going to talk about doing the demo because I still haven't done it.
How's that demo coming out?
It's coming out soon. I actually just set up the recording area that I'm going to be using. So that was one of the problems, was getting a good backdrop kind of situation going. So, but it'll be coming out.
I've been loving Shelby Pollard. Also got a set. He's the guy who's usually featuring a jazz master in all Chicago Music Exchange's videos.
Yeah,
and those things sound like heaven when he's playing it. So I want to check these out.
Well, I've got a black backdrop but the problem was my first recording I did was right in front of my desk, and I don't like the way it looks. It's got the nice wood paneling background, which apparently died out
Very
towards
high
the
class.
70s. Yeah. So, all right. So we're going to go into what's new. Chris, what you got?
I should be picking up the bass that was recently featured on our Instagram. Hopefully tomorrow, if not Tuesday.
Nice plug of the Instagram.
So-
Way to go, Chris.
You're welcome. Follow us at the FX Loop.
But
yeah,
I think you posted that also in the Sinusoid group. So if you're a Sinusoid customer, you've probably heard about that. It's for customers only. So buy something from Sinusoid and you actually get to join in. But you were looking for a cable, and Marissa didn't like the first suggestion. Did you guys find anything you did like?
I may end up playing around with looking through their colors and maybe even just emailing Albert or Anthony, whoever handles the questions now, and seeing what they could get. Since I think it was Anthony said that they wanted to get a Silver Sparkle but didn't, so I might have to talk them into that.
Well, I thought
Silver Sparkle would be very, very loud.
the thing is that
The bass is already loud, so it would kind of blend in.
True.
the blue with carbon really looked good. I thought it looked great.
Yeah,
I
I kind of liked it, but I may still end up getting that for when I play, but I'm probably getting their new red and black thing for
The Thriller.
St. Jimmy. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's really got that. Because I think, are you doing the Green Day, the black, white, and red Green Day kind of look?
That's the idea, yeah.
Okay.
And that would match my creation board, which is actually U2 How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb inspired with the red and black also, so it would just all kind of tie together.
Oh, well, yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Scott, what you got new?
I haven't really bought much new. I am teasing a package, but we'll get into that because it relates to our news topic. But I've after all of my talking on our last episode of, man, I hope none of my equipment goes bad. Easter Sunday, my amp blew up during rehearsals, so I had a tearing out my hair moment, but I'm up
My
and
camper
running
didn't
again.
blow up.
Oh, that's nice. But bad tube in the Super Reverb. Got a new preamp tube in it now, and it sounded fantastic this morning. So I'm actually happier now than I was before.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I guess it's my turn. I actually got there's a company that was advertising showing some picks made out of stone. It was a wood stone picks, stone wood picks. It's gonna be really bad. I can't remember that.
I think
Thanks to
I
our
have
sponsor,
some of those too.
Stonewood Picks for this week.
Well, they didn't sponsor us. But they did hook me up. I did tell him I was with a podcast, and he sent me. I did buy one pick, and he sent me another one to try out. They're actually pretty cool. So I kind of told him what style I use. I was really big into the 88 millimeter, the small jazz pickups that a company sent out, which no longer exists. And he sent me two different picks. the one I wanted and the one he suggested. And the one he suggested was actually a lot better. It was actually, I don't know if it'd be considered stone. I'm not a geologist, and this is not a geology podcast, but it's actually petrified wood. Feels like stone. So
It's a stone now. It was wood at one point in life. That's what petrified means.
Our industry expert over there. But they're actually they feel really good. It's not as thick as I thought it would be. The one that he sent me, and they have a really nice. What you imagine they do to your sound, kind of have a glassy, like higher end sound. It's exactly what they do. But I was kind of nervous. I was like, man, I'm afraid I'm gonna like dig in and scratch up a paint on a guitar, and which did not happen. So I've been using them. I used them for Easter Sunday. I actually forgot them today. I've got them put up because they are like $30 each.
Ooh.
So yeah, they're definitely kind of a novelty thing. I mean, I could see using them all the time but there's also picks that are that expensive. What are those, blue chip picks or something? A lot of country players, like bluegrass players, use them. There are levels like that of picks that are out, but these actually sounded pretty good. I mean, they sounded really good. I was very happy with them. So if you guys are interested in picking up some new picks and want to try them out, give the guys a look at
Nice.
Woodstone picks. I'm pretty sure.
Are you sure about that?
Listen, you guys, like, I'm not even kidding. I'm going to look this up because I'm like 98% sure. I'll feel really bad if I get that wrong. We can edit this out in post, right?
No.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, you're not going to edit it out in post.
Nope.
No, not at all. No, all right. So let's see, because the gentleman's name is Lucas Wood. So it is Woodstone picks.
That makes sense.
Woodstone carvings. That's it. They design picks.
Oh.
Woodstone carvings.
Totally different.
Yeah. What? Okay. We'll edit that in post. So that moves us into our news, actually. Scott, you want to talk about the first news piece?
Yeah, staying in the realm of picks and also New Gear Days. Ernie Ball announced this at NAMM for the new Prodigy series of picks. I wound up picking up a set. I've been sort of tooling around with them. The Prodigy is, I believe the product is Delrin. I'm not super familiar with that material. I don't know of other pick users that like build out the picks out of that, but it's a beveled edge. It comes to a sharp point, which gives it a unique playing experience. And they kind of have this matte kind of finish to them. So they are fairly grippy without having like a... so I used to use the Gator Grip Tortex picks from Dunlop for a long time. And I never broke the picks. Just the Gator Grip things would just like come off over time. And then they'd be hard to hold on to. This doesn't seem to have that. Like it will get a little shiny from you holding it and playing with it for a little bit, but then you leave the pick sitting on the desk for a minute and then it goes back to the matte finish. So
what is it like to feel like, if you can compare it to any pick, like, is it closer to like a gravity? It seems like the way it looks is like a gravity pick kind of.
So gravity picks are acrylic, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay. I have just the free ones and then like the one I tried out at Summer NAMM last year, and Gravity Pick does not give out free samples, we found out. So I did not get to walk away with that pick. The acrylic is way smoother just in terms of just how you feel it. And but like on the Gravity Picks that often like JHS or Creation are giving out as like samples, those kind of have this like mitered edge on them where that has some texture to it, and you still get a lot of scrape from them when you're plucking at an angle or something like that. These are really smooth. I played acoustic for our Saturday night service at my church, very, very last minute sub in. So I brought it along and I was like, all right, I'll use this. And I have like no pick attack noise, where like usually when you play acoustic, you're kind of like a glorified shaker setting rhythm sometimes, because all you're hearing is the while you're playing. These don't have a lot of that, so I can see that being very appealing for high gain guitar playing, like single note run kind of thing, speed picking. I can see that being really like a great thing because it doesn't have a lot of attack. It just has a really neutral tone the whole time. But when you play rhythm acoustic, you need more attack. Otherwise, your djembe player doesn't know what's going on. And we can talk more about that in our topic. But yeah, so I think I kind of got into who these are for and what they'd use. I got a 1.5 millimeter, and they play really good. They're slightly taller than like a Jazz 3. So if your complaint is like, I like the pointed end of a Jazz 3, but I'm always dragging my knuckles on the strings or something like that because you have to choke up on it too much, this lets you kind of back off it a little bit.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And then, see, I'm weird about strings. Gosh, bless America. Picks. What are we? Sorry. Stick with me. All right, so I just started a diet the other day, and the guys know that I've been a little bit like out of it, irritable, because you don't realize how much you love. Yeah, just ticked off in general. So, but picks. I was looking at my picks while talking about it, but there's strings next to it and pickups actually. So,
is there a guitar body there too and a neck?
No, but there's a little like wooden portrait thing of a guitar. Yeah, I don't know what that does for anyone. If you're into wooden portraits of guitars, come on over. But I've like finding a great pick has been tough because the ones I've found that I really like, I can't really get anymore. But like I have a couple Gravity picks, and they're nice, but they give you a real plastic sound, in my opinion. Like I don't care for the sound of them. The Stone picks also give a kind of a higher sound, and I usually run my guitars kind of dirty, so it actually works out pretty well. But I don't know, I might be going back to my good old Dunlop Tortex 73s. I played those for years, and I kind of got out of them, but I might be going back. But let's see.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm giving up. I use a Dunlop Primetone. I use the 1.5 millimeter sometimes, or the 3 millimeter version, because I like having a large pick. It's just more comfortable to hold, and I don't feel like I might drop it. And I like how the print is raised in the molding, so like they're real easy to grip. So I don't know if I'm giving those up yet, but these are cool. I'm glad I have 6 of them or so, and I'm gonna play around with them for a little bit. I think they were $10 shipped from American Music Supply. That was the only place I really saw them available yet. Like Sweetwater didn't have them yet. Guitar Center didn't seem to have them yet. And also AMS sent it in the just most enormous, unnecessarily large box ever. I thought I got a new pedal that I forgot that I ordered sitting on my front porch.
Didn't you post that on the Instagram too?
Yeah, I post that was the box I posted on the Instagram.
At FX Loop. Or the FX Loop.
Plug number 2. We got one more. So I think that brings us to our other new piece of news that is not really new, but is coming to market right now.
Finally, kind of.
Yeah, Chris, you want to introduce this one?
So next in news, we have the Strat Tele Hybrid from Fender's Parallel Universe guitar collection is finally hitting the market. Basically what it is a Tele body with Strat pickup, Strat pickguard, control set, trim, and Strat neck.
I wouldn't even say much it's a Tele body. It's just a single cut. Like that's the best way to look at it. It's a single cut Strat.
Yeah,
is the lower horn a Strat cut or a Tele cut, or are they the same?
That's totally a Tele cut.
I say it looks. I mean, no. I mean, I get that it's a Tele cut. Like I agree, but like they're pretty darn close to the. That's pretty much you could just say a single cut Strat.
Yeah.
If you fill in the top horn, it would look pretty much exactly like that. Because like the one thing that I consider with a Tele body is you've got a Tele routing, and that doesn't have it. I mean, I don't know. I think it's a goofy looking Fender Strat. It's like someone started like cutting a Strat body and just gave up when it came time to the top horn. Like, you know what? That's flipping close enough. I'm gonna go with that.
Does it have a belly cut and the armrest cut? Yeah, it does.
It doesn't have the armrest.
Oh, it doesn't?
Doesn't look like it. Let me see if Sweetwater has it.
Yeah, it just plays with your head because like you see if you just ignore the top horn, it looks like a Strat just straight through.
Yeah, completely.
But I mean, my first thought with this thing is I started thinking of the Nashville Tellys way back in the day, or they still make those, don't they?
I think so.
They've got some that are still being made. I know there's some made in Mexico Nashville style.
Mm. So growing up, one of my favorite guitar players played in Nashville Telly. So like there's that kind of like soft spot there. If you liked old Sleeping at Last stuff before they just made music for Grey's Anatomy, and Ryan O'Neal played electric guitar, he had a really great sound from that Nashville Telly. But this is not that because it's Strat pickups.
Yeah, it's very much a Strat, just different body.
Yeah, I just think they're kind of reaching on trying to make it. Fender's really like been putting out stuff that no one wants. Like it's like they're pulling a Gibson.
Well, the thing
like
with that series is some of them, like you said, aren't really trying, but then you have the Troublemaker, which is basically the Tele Deluxe Les Paul hybrid.
Okay, now that one actually looks cool.
Yes.
But you're shooting, like, what's your passing rate on that? Like, you put out how many new guutars on this series, and only one of them looks like something that might be worth trying?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to,
Fender's been in business for 50 plus years, and you can really name only less than 10 successful guitars. Right? I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only one of these might leap to the top, but... it's worth doing 10 mistakes to get that one. So, I mean, I'm happy they're doing it.
I'm not mad that they're doing it. I think I'm more mad at the guy. It's like I'm not even mad at the guy who had the idea. He's like, "What if we do this?" I'm mad at the second guy that was sitting there saying, "Yeah, that's an excellent idea." Like, dude, you had a chance to stop this.
So a lot of these just feel like these are the kind of things you'd have in like their Fender custom shop calendar.
Yeah.
Where they built one of them.
Yeah, some of these aren't even like what I would consider parallel universes. It's just like
goofy.
Not fully goofy, but like putting a Jazz Master setup on a Tele body, the Tele thin line shape that they've done 2 or 3 times now with the like Fendertron, I think is what they call them.
Yeah.
And then basically the Tele bass with Jazz and P bass pickups. The only one that reaches out to me is like the Troublemaker. And this whatever the Metora, the really weird shaped one.
Oh yeah, what's that called?
The Metora.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ask me. I didn't pay it much attention.
But hey, it comes out in November, so
save up. You can do it.
I like that they actually have dates on everything now. Wonder if I could save up $2,000 by July and get the Troublemaker.
I think that's going to sell out.
It probably is.
I want to try that one at NAMM. Well, that one's going to be really big in P-dubs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and I mean, just that's a guarantee. You're going to see those when they hit all over.
P-dubs is who ate up the, like, basically Gretsch Fender thing that they did 2 years ago at the like $900 range. They were sold out everywhere. and I would guarantee 90% of them were probably reposted in Gear Talk PNW.
Was it like an affordable version of what was it called, the White Chicken?
I think so.
The custom shop one that they posted.
No, because the White Chicken is like a Tele, like semi or full hollow. This was just the thin line Telecaster, like body neck with Filtertrons versus the standard wide range.
Yeah.
That would be cool. I mean, most guitars that have Filtertrons on it are very thick, and so you're at a very different body position trying to play those. So if you're like, I just want to have a Tele shape, you know, that makes total sense.
I still want to find one of the 2012 versions, but people are selling them for what the American version is going for.
The gold and white ones, I think a friend of mine, Anthony Valeni, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm going to guess that's right. He's not going to listen to this. He has one, and like they're selling, like people are asking like $1,200 for them and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think they were the made in Mexico's, were they not?
It's either Mexico or like.
It definitely wasn't
weren't
U.S.
there some made in Korea?
Yeah, that was going to be my next guess, was that it was Uber import.
Yeah, I think it might have been made in Korea, because that was about the time because a lot of Gretsch stuff is made in Korea, and now that Fender Musical Instrument Corporation owns
What a mouthful.
Gretsch. Well, I wanted it, I figured they're like, well, let's make sure it flows right off the tongue.
Yeah.
But let's, I guess we can head on to our topic.
There's one other piece of news that's floating out there. As so graciously posted on our wall, there's also the Orange Getaway driver. Sean Pierce Johnson did his Stompbox Saturday on that and posted it to our Facebook group. And honestly, if Sean's ever done a demo that fits his playing style, it was this one. So it's worth a look. This is pretty cool pedal. I want to give it a shot. It's the orange sound in a box, just really well done.
Yes, he's very much an orange guy.
I would like to try it because I'm not an orange guy. I don't like orange amps. I played, I think it was an orange rock verb or something like that. I couldn't get a tone out of it that I liked. I like the cleans were just thin and brittle sounding, and like anything overdriven just sounded like mush.
Yeah, I mean it fits certain genres very well, and other genres I don't think it will. So yeah, it's cool. I'd rather do a pedal than go full leap into getting like a rock reverb.
True.
So
yeah, I mean they look great, but I don't know. Maybe I just had bad luck with an amp. So
maybe we need to find one for your Kemper, and then you'll start loving it.
I'll get it. I do have a orange profile on there. I think it's by, I don't know who it's by, but it's called the Tangerine something. And I don't like it either.
Doesn't Mr. Daniel Shields have an orange rock reverb?
He might. Daniel, if you listen to this, bring it to NAMM and let me profile it. If I can get a sound out of it I like. We need to have Daniel on here. If you've never heard Daniel Shields talk, literally, like he has the most calm and soothing voice. Like I told him the last time I was on Carter's Talk Tone with him last NAMM. I was like, dude, I want to listen to that just to help me like fall asleep, because he's just so peaceful. He's just like, yeah, I'm just like, dang. So now can we move on to our topic? Or did you got another piece
Okay.
Fine, we'll move on.
Right. So we are going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart this
As of today.
As of today, we're going to talk about click tracks and whether they're needed, and how you like them, and different aspects of it. And the funny part is what we're joking about is I've been arguing with a guy all day on
a certain
Talk Praise and Worship,
certain group. Don't say it.
Oh, I'm gonna say it. I don't care. There's 20,000 people in there. They can figure it out. So, or whatever your name is, if you're listening, I've got a podcast talking about it. No one cares about you.
All right, you both need to check your heart.
Yeah, no, my heart's been checked. I was arguing with a guy in church, so I had the Lord on my side. I do security at my church too. So I was stationed at the front door, and I was just on my phone arguing with this guy while listening to the message.
So secure.
So yeah, well, hey, listen. I had my blood going already. It was like, you know how like those bouncer guys like watch Roadhouse and like get all pumped up about it. They're like, oh yeah, Patrick Swayze. Like that was me. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna argue with someone. So
how did we get here?
Because I'm still mad about it.
All right, so
his name's so take that.
Poor anybody whose name is in there that's listening to this and is like, what did I do?
Sorry. I actually have an employee named Sorry. I don't think he listens to this, so we're good. So let's see. I'm going to start with my point because I've been very opinionated about it today.
Go for it.
Click is not necessary.
How dare you?
I'll say that. I don't believe it's necessary to have a good experience, whether it's in church or at a bar or wherever. It's not necessary. But Click helps you stay tighter, helps you stay in the pocket better, and it helps you just in general maintain a tempo, because very few humans who are alive today can start a song at a tempo and end the song at the same exact tempo. We're humans, we have air, you do a fill and you speed up. Drummers are not impervious to speeding up or slowing down songs. Actually, they're the ones who are guilty of it. So to sit there and argue that a click does nothing, or that you can maintain a tempo without a click because you practice at home with your little metronome, is asinine. I think I can say that one and not get bleeps out.
Well, we're marked as explicit, so.
All right. So
I don't think that's a bad word, though.
I'll jump into this one to let Diaz cool off for a minute. So I would say, to add to your point of, is it necessary, or is it a requirement? I would agree with Diaz that it's not a required thing. I spent years playing in church without a click. I've been in groups that don't use clicks, and we were able to successfully lead worship and not just like completely fall off the rails. But anytime I've had a band fall off the rails, we weren't using a click, and we were all struggling with rhythm problems. And I think rhythm problems is one of the more pervasive problems that musicians face. Well, even worse than pitch,
The thing about the rhythm problems is it depends on who's looking to who for the tempo.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
If you're not, your drummer needs to be the person setting your tempo, whether you like it or not, and if your drummer can't keep a tempo, you probably need a click, or he needs to practice with a click. Like I don't know why that would be such a problem to understand. Your drummer is supposed to be your tempo and the backbone of your band. That's one of the main things that a drummer does.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can't maintain a tempo, he needs to work on it. I mean, we all constantly need to work on improving ourselves. If you think you've got it figured out, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. End of story. All these professional musicians who literally play a show every day still practice in their spare time, and they still want to learn more. Like, you've got players like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, all these virtuosos. They still warm up, practice, do everything that we do that we think is making us better. They do because they think it's going to make them better too, or at least maintain their level of excellence. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of those guys play with excellence. So
it's one of those classic things that people talk about, like, you ask people, how do I get better at playing guitar? How do I get better at this instrument? Or how do I improve myself? Every single professional will tell you need to start practicing with a metronome if you're not already. Because you do need that training that a click can bring in, because you need to be able to hear, all right, am I in front of the beat? Am I behind the beat? And cleaning that up. And about a year and a half ago, I took lessons again for a very short jaunt. And that was what that teacher just beat into me. He's like, you need to start practicing with a metronome. I can tell you don't. And I started playing with a metronome, and it just night and day difference. Within a month or two, my playing changed. And I got a lot better.
I've got a friend, his name's Ryan Miller. If you guys look up people on Facebook, look him up. He's a phenomenal guitar player, but his main thing is he's doing 100 days of practice, and every day he uploads a video. And if you watch from day one to, I think he's on day like 70 something or maybe 80, he has completely just surpassed. And I asked him, I'm like, I want to get better as a guitar player. I've kind of fallen in a rut. I play the same riffs. I've got the same sound. I'm doing the same this and that. And I want to learn, different chords. Like he's really into, like a 4-piece jazz band, stuff like that. So he's playing these crazy diminished 7th, 8th, 9th chords, whatever. And he sat there, he said, the first thing he said was, he's like, practice with a metronome. And I did. I bought a metronome. I haven't turned it on. I probably should. But I mean, practicing with a metronome is very important. Keeping time is very important. Look at people who are recording artists, like session guys. I mean, they don't just go in and just be like, 88 beats per minute, got it, and just play perfectly. I mean, they listen to clicks. One of my favorite things, and was one of the main things that made me feel like I needed a click, was, so Chris has, the Edge from U2 and, Billy Joe Armstrong. Those are people he like loves, and Scott's got John Mayer. One guy that I absolutely love and I like man crush over real hard is Dave Grohl. He's just phenomenal in my opinion. And in one of the documentaries he's done, I think it might have been Sound City, he talked about, it was either Sound City or Foo Fighters, back and forth. He talked about playing to a click and how he just felt like so belittled. Or not belittled, but he felt just like a little ant because he couldn't play to a click track that well. He kept speeding up and slowing down. And like, that's a prime example. Dave Grohl is one of the best rock drummers that we've seen. He's steady. He's in the pocket. He's just sounds amazing. And he had to learn how to play with a click too. So if you think that you're above playing with a click, you need to just reevaluate the way you're looking at music, and you need to get off your high horse and admit that you could do better than what you're doing now. And a click will help that, because a click's never going to get worse. It's not like a click will make you
So the click went down in the middle of a song this week for me. So yeah, the click can be bad.
Okay. Well, that I wouldn't say the click was bad, but the thing you used was bad.
Yeah, the MacBook Pro, that it was a CPU overload, so it just like fizzed out for a second and dragged a beat, and it was very obvious.
Okay. All right, but that very rarely happens, right, Scott?
Yes. Yeah, especially.
So how long have you been playing with click?
March last year is when I started playing in a band with a click.
Chris, how long have you played with click?
3, maybe 4 years.
Okay, I've played with it for probably 3 or 4 months, and I've noticed a big difference in our musicians because we are tighter. We're right there. It makes transitions easier because you're not having a drummer. Because the way I have my in-ear set up is my drummer's completely out of it, and the only thing I hear of the drummer is what comes through, and I have an ambient mic out in the audience, and that's what I hear because the drums are still loud enough out there where I don't need to mix them in. But I have my click probably close to, it's probably second loudest thing underneath my guitar, and if I listen to the click, my transitions are a lot smoother than if I listen to the drummer. Because if I'm trying to listen to a fill or anything like that, you can get lost in where the fill is. And I mean, some drummers do that, and that's why they add a beat sometimes, or something crazy happens. They drag or they speed up, and I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm still just fuming.
So I played without a click for one of the first times last night. We normally record on Sunday afternoons. So last night was the Saturday service. I filled in at the last second on acoustic guitar. We didn't have a click, and I had to play rhythm guitar for the first time in a while too, and that was a challenge. But but how did the band kind of resync? Because like a lot of us were so used to playing with a click, and we were kind of looking out to space to try to find where is this leader coming from, and we were playing a few songs where there's a stutter strum in it, and so every time I stutter strummed in the song, we had a djembe player, and I just threw him every time, as he was trying to follow what I was doing, and I had to turn around in rehearsal, had to stomp basically to get him to kind of clue into what we're doing.
Dude, and you're a big guy. If you're stomping at me, I'd be like scared to death.
Well,
Oh crap! I better get on this beat. This guy's about to stomp me into the ground.
Well, and I wasn't the worship leader either. I'm filling in, helping out. One of our vocalists, she was the leader of that group. Fortunately, she's an amazingly talented musician who actually like understands beats and where her lyrics come in on beats, and thinks much more in those terms. So she was wearing these nice high-heeled boots, and so when she would start tapping, it was obvious and you could hear it. And so like we kind of clued in that, hey, you're leading, I will follow you, and working that way. But like other musicians were having trouble with it, and that was one of those situations where like that band was not cohesive or tight, and we needed a click to kind of sync us back together.
Well, a good thing about the click is no matter if you're with a musician you've never played with before, if you're on that click, you know what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it. And it kind of, I mean, now a bass player and a drummer together, they need to listen more to each other. That bass player needs to listen to where the kick is. But as a guitar player, you're not really worried about it too much.
Yeah,
you're more worried about where you're going on the beat, because a lot of the times anything a guitar player does is kind of counter to what is going on, because you don't need a kick drum, a bass drum, and the guitar player all hitting a thing unless you're doing a syncopated line.
But it's so common with, especially in church groups, you have a vocalist who's not counting. And even with a click, even with everything, they're not hearing where the one is, or you had to come in on the and of something, and they drop a beat and the band doesn't.
Yeah.
Whereas, that happened to me last night, and because I was the only musician on stage, I just went, all right, I drop a beat, I'm back with you.
Yeah, I've done that a few times. There's been, luckily, the musicians I play with have played together for a while. So our vocalists don't have click. Only the actual musicians do. Well, not saying a vocalist isn't an actual musician, but only the musicians playing instruments are doing that. So there's been a few times where we've had to add a beat to a measure or something like that, and kind of keep the vocalist where. We follow the vocalist at sometimes. So
there's a few songs where like I will tell the group, I'm like, we're not playing with a click on this one because the vocalist won't follow it. Like I just know coming in, I've never sang with this person or I've never played with this person, but we did All the Poor and Powerless by All Sons and Daughters. That's a classic one of people dropping a beat because there's a rest beat in that song in the verse, and the vocalists always drop it every time we do it. So, those kind of things, like we try throwing it on a click, and if the musician's not trained on a click, they won't follow it still, and it's still a problem. So, I mean, there's situations that like the click is helping make up for a lack of rhythm or musicianship or certain other qualities, but ramping up to being able to be on a click is still a skill set that needs to be brought up, and I know that's a common problem for drummers too.
Yeah, well, so I said my full band uses click. Does anyone just have the drummer using click, or does everyone hear theirs?
Everywhere I've played, it's been everybody has the option to have click in their ears.
Yeah, we're clicking ears, and if we're really well planned, the click will be synced with cues.
Because you use tracks.
Yep.
Sometimes. I mean, there's other songs where we don't actually have backing tracks, but we'll have a cue track laid up. So you'll get bridge 2, 3, 4, verse 2, 3, 4 in your ears, and it helps a ton. As long as the vocalist is following.
But you're not more of a spontaneous church, right? You're more of a structured worship. Would you say?
like today I had an improvised guitar solo today, which was interesting.
By interesting you mean that
I broke out my Strat this morning, and my Super had new tubes in it, so I was just I am going to need to blues lick everything I can today. Kind of one of those moments. But yeah, you just program in. You say, all right, we're going to take 8 measures here, or if we're going to vamp, we structure the song so we're going to vamp at the end. And so the click will keep going, but the cues will end. If you're going to repeat the chorus an extra time, or then hop into the bridge and then go back to the chorus, like we can leave that unstructured and leave the click going, but you append the song with it. You don't have it happen in the middle of the song.
Makes sense.
Okay, Chris, what about you?
Kind of the same way, but unless it's like a worship night, like specifically like 90% music, we very rarely ever go on the spirit-led, like continuing like a 20-minute song kind of deal. So it's really not that big of an issue for us. But even when we do that, at least out of
Chris, said you do.
I was beginning to wonder if that was going to come.
Timestamp it.
Don't you edit that in post. You let the world know.
It's like,
you let all 20 people listening to this thing know.
But we have a music director. It's normally it's one guy at our campus, and he either is playing like bass, rhythm, electric, or keys. So even if we get off, don't have cues, or if our worship leader like gives him a certain sign, he'll get in the talkback mic and tell us, okay, we're gonna hit the chorus again, do bridge, whatever. And when I did a D Now 2 months ago, I went ahead and like took it upon myself to kind of just like do that music director because we didn't have tracks, we didn't have click. It's kind of rough getting up like in practices, getting up to it. So it's like, okay, we need somebody that's going to be able to call out structure, especially if we can't hit clean endings. And like the worship leader did a few times, like go on into extended worship. So I just had to be like, okay, so that way we can get this song even like done and on track, and we're not all kind of up here wide-eyed like deer in headlights. I just had to keep getting in there. It's like, okay, chorus 1 or 2 more times. Let's vamp on the bridge, bring it down next chorus. If you feel like ending it, end it there. And just kind of keep a roadmap.
We don't use any tracks. We use pads because we're definitely one of those Pentecostal churches, the he baba she baba. We're gonna keep going until the Baptists have already ate and left. So the way we have our setup is we use a click, and we don't use any tracks. We do have someone with a talkback, and they usually let people know. But when in rehearsal, we kind of have like a loose idea of what we're going to do, but we use hand signals more than anything. Everyone knows what our hand signals are.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of how my old church was too. We had hand signals.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then you've got the glares, the glare. You're like, oh gosh, like just stop playing the guitar solo, please. But that's what we do. But we've just recently went to the click about 4 months ago, and like, man, it's a world of difference. It just really is. You feel tighter.
Definitely.
And it's why anyone would argue against it is kind of beyond me. Like, I get it. If you're not able to do it due to the technology you have, just say that. Like, say, we don't use in-ears. So, okay, well, you're not going to use a click. If you don't have in-ear monitors, then you should at least have your drummer listening to a metronome to start the song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are free iPhone apps that do this very well. So, it's not really a financial restriction to not have a drummer on a click.
Yeah.
it's more
Yeah,
a stubborn
definitely.
thing.
Yeah, because something like
chances
that
are.
is what I'm planning on doing with St. Jimmy. Is whenever we have gigs and if we don't have in-ears for whatever reason, I'm at least making sure our drummer has click, so that way we can be in time.
Well, like
Yeah,
your drummer can have like a personal monitoring station where he
Exactly.
still gets a monitor feed in ears,
Yeah.
and he can route an aux in, so he can run his own click just for him.
Or even
Can't
worst
you do that
case
with an old
scenario,
Rolls,
just
one of those rolls boxes?
Yeah, that's a good example of one of those.
I may need to look that
They're
up.
like
then.
$20.
Yeah,
You can find them used. I'm pretty sure half the time there's churches that have them just lying around in the back because there's no point of selling them because they're dirt cheap. And then like half the time you could probably go up to a church and be like, "Hey, what are you doing with this?" Like, "I don't know, just take it. Get it out of the church, please." Like, but I mean, getting back, I'm actually going to bring us back like onto the improv thing and the spirit-led worship is you can even do that with clicks. I mean, you have your drummer keep a tempo on the cymbal. Like if it's a slow enough tempo, hit every beat, hit on the 1 and the 3, do something. But the point is that you're able to do this. And one of the arguments someone said was, I bet you $10, the congregation's not going to know.
oh,
They might not.
They'll notice that sooner than if you're using elixir strings or a Kemper or a Helix. Like they'll notice beat before they notice anything because it's just so ingrained in human, like the psyche.
They'll notice that the band is tighter.
Yeah.
Like they won't be able to put their finger on it. Like as a musician, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, listen, you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, they hit that together really well. But a person in your congregation is gonna go, oh, there's just something about the worship today. Or a person in an audience of a show is like, man, that was tight. It just sounds tight. And to sit there and if the way I look at it is if you're in church and you're leading worship, you want to do it with all of your excellence because you don't want to be a distraction. I've been in plenty of churches where the musicians were more of a distraction than a help.
Same.
Because and the people will say, oh well, you shouldn't pay attention to the music, you should pay attention to praising God. Yeah, but there's a level of which, I mean, someone hits a wrong note, you can't ignore that.
Or the acoustic
It's going to
guitar is
distract
just
you.
strumming way off pattern.
Yeah, like you're gonna notice those things that you cannot help because music is I mean, I'm gonna go hippie, like it's just a part of the world. It's in us. Our heart beats to a beat. Like that's like everything you do is to a beat. And to sit there and take away from that and to talk down on that is just kind of crazy. So
Yeah. So I'm personally a fan of music that does speed up and slow down in a structured format. I think there's a necessity. You can definitely tell on a click band when they go down to just saying like just the acoustic guitar lightly strumming and repeating the chorus or something like that. And it's like it doesn't slow down. You're like, oh cool, they're still on a click. Or you'll see some hand motions go up and the click gets killed because like they want to slow the song down. Like there are elements of that being needed in music. And I mean, that goes back to classical and formal music as well. The conductors speed up and slow down the tempo.
but that's structured.
It is. It's structured and it's planned and it's there. You were talking earlier about how you have the click super loud in your ears.
Yes.
So I don't. I go like if the drummer's not playing, then I hear the click. But if the drummer's playing, I hear the drummer.
That's usually
That's how I have mine set up.
Well, the reason why I don't do that is because I feel like the drummer in my in-ears kind of fills in a space where I can't hear the other guitar player and the piano as well as I would like. So the way but I also am very bad at the fact that I don't have mine set up in stereo, so I'm not panning. So most people, when they do that, they pan.
Yeah, you need to pan your in-ears.
Well, the problem with the reason why I don't pan my in-ears is because I still haven't figured out how to get my wireless to hook up in stereo. So, like, that's the main reason why I want to pan. But I've like bought cables and it still doesn't work. I've got to figure it out. But for the most part, that's why I do that. And that way I can still hear. I don't know. I think even if I did pan, I'd still want a good click, but that's because I prefer hearing that over the drummer.
So I pan the drummer hard one direction. Like, so if the drummer's to my right, I pan him hard right. So it's just like naturally there in my ears. And I use the in-ear to just give him or her just like sharpness from the microphones. I'm not using it to get real volume out of it. Because like with molded in-ears, you just hear muffled everything. So I want that sharp. I want that attack. So then I can now hear when they're actually hitting the drum. And I have the click panned to the same spot.
Yeah. Okay. See, I wouldn't pan it to the same spot. I'd want it somewhere different. Yeah. But that's just personal preference. That's why I thank God that they have presets, and you can save your preset on Aviums and Behringers and all that. The power plays.
Yeah, if you get the same unit.
Yeah.
Week on week.
Well, I use the same unit, so
I'm at the mercy of the setup because we roll in and out every week. And
oh yeah, that's right. You're a mobile, or you're
one of
tear down church.
Yeah, one of our campuses is mobile. One of us is a permanent location, but I'm not there enough.
To start,
and I'm
saving
not extra enough
to
to just show up with my own
preset 11
in-ears box.
I want to start a church that's like a pop-up church, like pop-up restaurants. Be a horrible. You couldn't keep congregants that way though. They'd be like, I'm not even I don't even care where you are this week. I'm done with this game.
Oh no, it depends on the location. If you're in a big enough city, you might get all the hipster worship leaders coming.
Like, we're going to some French-sounding cafe. Your pastor / barista will be there at 11:30. If your pastor's a barista, don't get upset. I was just reaching on that one.
We have a coffee shop in our church.
We do too.
we have a Keurig. That's our coffee shop. We have a Keurig.
Yeah.
I think we have we have coffee pots. We got a bun, like one of those industrial coffee makers, and that's what we use.
So we were talking before the episode and ranting at each other about this. And an idea came up about, should you have the click on the whole time?
We don't use the. All right, so we don't use the click the whole time. Are you talking about like starting a song and then letting the click go?
Yeah, like so. I mainly rely on a click to really just get momentum on a song. Okay. So like we did like Lion and the Lamb this week, right? And
yeah,
that one just has you kind of just need a click to start that song. Because otherwise you expect everyone to come in on time with the same amount of energy at that big fill to start the song. It can be very messy very quickly, or everyone will start very sheepishly going in, or like they're just backing away from it, or they just don't have the confidence to hit that first chord or that first riff in time and together, where a click will just, it locks everybody in. We usually get about 2 measures of click before the song starts. Or like the old song will be ending and the click already started for the next song. And so like you're just like, and then you hear intro 2, 3, 4, and then you're in, You have so much more momentum when you have that.
So we don't have tracks, so we don't really get that count in. The way we're set up, so the musicians are already playing when our first song starts, because we're kind of like playing while the greeting is done, like, welcome to Worship Life Church, get off your butts and get up here, let's go. We don't actually say that. I think we should, but we don't. So what'll happen is we'll be playing in something, and then we'll all kind of die down, and the pad will still be going, and then the drummer, if I'm like, say we're doing Lion and the Lamb and I'm kicking off that intro, or we'll all kind of like look to the drummer and he'll hit the cymbal, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, and then we're in. So that's how we do it, but our click stays on throughout the entire song. The only time the click goes off is if we're going into kind of a spontaneous thing. So like I said, we're heavy Pentecostal, so every song has a spontaneous moment, it seems like. So what'll happen is at that point we'll keep going, we'll go, and if it goes to where a vocalist kind of goes into a spontaneous moment and isn't really following a beat so much, then we'll turn it off, and then we'll move on to the next song's click once we're about to head there. but our click stays on as long as possible. And if anyone, we haven't had a problem where we've gotten off the click in a service yet. And that comes from us practicing with it and making sure that, no matter what, even in rehearsal, anything like that, that click stays on. Like that, it's kind of became one of those non-negotiables. It's not like someone, and if you're in kind of the way we have it set up too is, it's kind of understood with the musicians. If you're listening, you need to be able to hear the click. So, but that's how our structure is at our church with it.
So a classic complaint from guys who run front of house sound is vocalists who pull an in-ear.
Huh.
And then they turn their head next to a microphone that's live, and now you can hear the click in the mic.
One of our worship leaders is so bad at that.
Yeah.
We're trying to get him to train to at least throw it behind your body if you're going to pull it out. But you're in the heat of the moment, so you don't remember to do that. So halfway through the song, you just start getting.
Why are they pulling out their in-ears? Do they not have an ambient mic out in the audience or something?
We do.
We don't have one of those.
We do. So I don't know why he does it.
He should turn that up more. An ambient mic. So I used to be really bad. I've had 1964 ears, the V3s from back whenever they were still, when they were just hitting it big. I've had them forever. Yeah. And one of my I used to be the one in-ear guys, really bad. And that's because we didn't have an ambient mic. And when we finally moved all the musicians, because at one point I was the only one who ran in-ears because we had an Avium system and everyone else would just kind of use over the ears or something like that. And so no one had full isolation.
Yeah.
And now we've moved to where our drummer's isolated. I've got in-ears. Everyone's pretty much got in-ears, whether but they're not all molded. But they're it just sounds so sterile. I'm like, you've got to get an ambient mic. That's one of the biggest things. Anytime someone's on a forum saying, I just can't put in both in-ears, it's because you're not using an ambient mic. And if you are, you need to turn it up in your mix. Yeah. Because it gives that more open air feeling. So.
See, I actually don't like it.
Yeah, I don't use it. We have it, but I have reverb on.
It's one of the.
I have reverb on my board, so and how my mix is set up, it's normally me boosted, just enough to where I can still hear lead vocals over everything else, but it's normally just me, click, a little bit of drum, and vocalist. So to me, and the vocals already have reverb coming through our auxes anyway, because they like to hear that too for whatever reason. So
I turned that off too.
Yeah. So the way our setup is, we kind of already get, reverb and nice filled mixes in our ears anyway. And as a guitarist, it's okay, I don't need to hear how the crowd is responding as much as, the worship leaders do and the frontline singers.
Well, I think it's not so much hearing I don't care how I do care how the congregation's responding, but
I don't care about them at all the entire time.
Listen,
that's your own problem.
They're not out there staring at me, I'm not happy. If they're not watching me when I play that cool lick, then you know what? I'm not even worried about them. They're off my prayer list for the night.
You know what, Diaz? You need to check your heart, bro.
Yeah.
Check it. Dang. Ouch. All right. So
that was the episode this time.
But yeah, this is the way the episode ends this time. It's just, all right, check your heart. Bye. No, but the ambient mics, it's more about the feel of, it doesn't make me feel kind of constricted and in an isolation, because that's one of the things is I want to be able to wear them and not. I guess it's more like you're wearing them and not. It doesn't feel like you're wearing them. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's tricking my brain more than anything. So
we were playing with a set of in-ear control stations. The Live Mix series, they have on their base station an ambient mic that you can dial in and out. So you can actually get your stage presence in or out of it. And since I usually put mine on the floor next to my board, it was my first time using it. And I was like, why are my effects pedals clicking so loudly? in the mix. Because like sometimes we sometimes use a grand piano, and I'm next to the grand piano, and the grand piano mic, if it's quiet, like they're praying or whatever, like the prayer doesn't come through our in-ears. So like if someone's talking, or like the pastor's mic, that's not coming through our in-ears. So like I will be setting up for a song coming out, and you'll hear me click, 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 click. And like everyone in the band will like look at me because they can hear it through the piano. But yeah, that's a cool thing, because like it gives everybody an opportunity to press it, and there's an intercom to just each other. So like we had to change up the service, like we had to move a song around because the pastor was late to get in there or something like that, and they're like, so which song are we doing? Okay, we're starting it here, and like everyone's able to like, yes, okay, I got you, and that works really well, and also just gives you that sense of place on the stage.
Yeah.
The only backside to that I would see would be if you're getting a delay off like the back wall from that would be the only downside.
Yeah, so like my guitar would probably be a problem for that, because like it's way off in a wing. It's it's 30 feet away or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's all well and good. I personally listen to music almost all day at work when I'm not on the phone. I have headphones on or something like that, so I'm quite used to being in isolation with music.
Yeah, that's kind of how
I am too. That's a more natural state for me. And since I'm panning everything right, I think of it more as I'm listening to like I feel like I'm tracking.
Yeah.
More than I feel like I'm in front of a crowd, and that helps for me just with like I'm not getting nervous of being in front of people, or some of those kind of things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a good ending point. So, thanks for joining us this week on the Effects Loop. Follow us on Instagram at the Effects Loop, and check out, we've got a Facebook group. We've actually had people requesting to join, which has been kind of threw me off.
From our dozens of listeners.
All 12 of you guys really wanted in. No, but go on there, and if you have any thing you want to add or a topic suggestion, just let us know.
We'll have a link in the description to both of those.
Yeah, follow the link. Go look. So I'm Diaz.
I'm Chris.
I'm Scott.
All right, we'll see you later, guys.
Thanks.
No.